It is time to live stream the wonderful, lovely, awe-inspiring TA report with Bags, GP, and JFDI on this beautiful, well, at least it's beautiful here in Georgia, Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, Nick. 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, buddy.
August 21st, 2023. We've had 3 straight weeks, and we're looking at the cues right here. 3 straight weeks of selling. And now we're kind of it was up Monday last week when we came on. It's up Monday this week when we come on. Nick, how are you feeling? What are you thinking? What's going on here?
I like it. Hold on. Hold on. I'm sorry.
Hold on. He's not ready.
Yeah. My trade station chart kind of went wonky there, and I was trying to look at something. I mean, considering the last 2 weeks, we saw a strong Monday. It's basically a sell-off almost all week. That being said, I do like how on the McClellan, like we pushed as low as -350. That's not to say like we can't, hover down here and continue lower, but the last time we don't get these types of oversold readings often, like it may be like once a year, if that. I think it's important to watch. So what I'm watching on the cues, that's what I was trying to pull up here.
Pull it up, bro.
Yeah, I am, just because I wanted to
share your screen, or
I just wanted to see the numbers. So like on the cues, I really want to see price get over like 372. If the cues can't get over 372, then I think we're setting up for another leg lower. If we get through 372, the 50-day, like I'm in kind of a camp that we're going back towards highs. And kind of the same thing on the spiders, like I'm watching.
Yeah,
basically
they're sort of a weekly. Sorry, Nick. They're sort of a weekly and daily convergence there in that 370, 371 area of moving averages. So that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like 444, 445 on the spies. Like it's the same thing. It's just the 50% retracement off the highs. And I mean, as I've kind of said before, it's kind of a big level that I kind of trade against is that 50%. But anyways, I think things look good. I threw money to work on Friday.
Good.
I was happy to see that gap down. I mean, I pretty much put money to work right off the open. I did add to LRCX and CLAC today, but
Shocker.
I know. Now was a big position I was kind of like watching today. I was happy to see follow through and now, and then like I'm long the usual suspects. ANET's another one that I'm watching closely. But I don't know. I mean we're oversold. We're in an uptrend. I think what we're seeing is completely healthy and completely normal, especially considering the time of the year.
Yeah, it's the dog days of summer. Kids are going back to school. People are finishing up their vacations or just finished their vacations.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely levels to play against on whether you want to, there's a big kind of a pocket, I feel like, in a lot of these charts between, let's just say the 50-day and the 200-day, where if we did set up for a leg lower, we got some room to go, but it would also look extremely healthy for us to do that. And vice versa, we go higher. I'm not, either way, charts are setting up and there's pivots to play against. It's kind of the camp that I'm in.
GP, I'm gonna guess you vehemently disagree with everything that Nick just put out there.
Oh, why?
Why would I do that?
You're just going to disagree. You're so bearish right now that you can't stand looking at this QQQ chart.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to say.
You're super bearish.
No, he's not bearish. I'm being facetious.
Well, I mean, you never know.
No, we talked about this pullback, right? The market
Yeah,
needed rest, and what a better time to rest than the month of August. It's been,
No,
I think Nick, your point is pretty pretty on point, which is when you have these types of quick reflexive pullbacks with like no whole bar, it actually is more beneficial to the bulls than it is the bears, right? Like the bears wanted to see not a quick profit taking, but this grind them down, kind of just sell off after sell off and just weakness. This was organized, right? For the most part.
It on the daily, you definitely see some like big volume bars, like big volume sell bars. But if you look at the weekly, I mean, the last 3 weeks we didn't hit average weekly volume. I guess we did on the spiders last week, but the Qs we didn't. We just hit average.
Yeah, that's the weird part, right? The volume sell bars on the daily, I think I pointed it out, we talked about it last week, I don't remember. It's just like the daily looks like the sells are very close to what they were when the market was bottoming, not topping, right? So you're like, what? And then you look at the weekly and you're like, this doesn't make any sense. So it goes along the lines of when you have these quick kind of relentless moves down, they're usually in favor of a bull setup, not a bear setup, right? So like it's when it's organized, when it's like this, it was designed to be a pullback, not to be a sell-off, right? I think that's the if you were selling off, you would have seen panic, you would have seen anything, but I don't think I saw a single bit of panic through this. Even if you look at Tesla, and that was your number one key, is like it basically the flow just took over, right? And it just couldn't break out of the flow until OPEX passed. And it was straight down almost every day, 2-3% without any reason, any rhyme, no, like nothing. But if you look at the volume, there wasn't much volume, right? So it's interesting. I think I talked about this as what the Adam and Eve bottom is like. When this breakout retest was going to come, it's usually pretty swift and quick, and that's exactly what we got. So I like how everything's setting up here. Was it fun? No, not at all. No one likes these relentless pullbacks on like, what was it? I think all because of Fitch downgrade. Is that when it all started?
Yep. And then they downgraded the banks, basically, or said the banks could potentially drag into recession. Somebody talking their book, it sounds like to me, actually.
Yeah, which to me is, like you needed a downgrade of the US credit for you to get your shorts to work, right?
And then you said the banks are going to lead us there, right? Like those are two kind of spooky things to put out there from a credit rating agency.
Yeah. So I like so far how things are setting up. Some of the pullbacks are violent. They have been violent. What is it? Let's start with Tesla. Tesla was down, what, 26%, 27% nonstop in 4 weeks. Off earnings beats. Netflix, same thing. Apple, not as much, but that was relentless selling as well. And there was just no volume to kind of confirm that Apple was putting in a local, a more fundamental top versus a local top.
Hey, Nick, I found that the bears will love your 372, 373 answer on the cues, because that would set up a really pretty head and shoulders pattern. I know we like talking about those a lot.
Yeah. It's also
Kinda funny.
it's also the 20-day, I believe.
I'm throwing the wet blankets in there. Yeah.
I mean, in the hypothetical event that it does, it's set up like a really pretty move right into the 200-day, and make me even more fucking bullish than I already am. We've broken out. We broke out of such a massive freaking range, earlier this year, that I'm really just like watching for stocks to like pull back to their 30, like their 30 week, their 40 week. Because on a lot, like on the cues, like on the cues, the 40 week is starting to curl up and through basically the high end of that base, or the high end of that range, which I don't know. I don't know how you couldn't be. Maybe near term, maybe we get some chop, or we leg again lower, but God, I think this is just setting up so freaking great for when we do get the like the all-time high breakout. It's gonna be another just fucking monster one.
So what's happening this week? We know we're gonna have JPL on Wednesday. We know NVIDIA is also Wednesday. So you've got JPL during market hours, right? And then you've got NVIDIA after market closes. We think Wednesday could be a volatile day.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it'll be one of those days where we get like, a violent wick down and bought up, but I don't know.
Well, last year at this time we were talking about, right, JPL saying there will be pain. I think anything softer than that's extremely dovish, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure how. I'm not sure how Jackson Hole matters, right? It mattered when it did matter because the market was in a sell, right? But to me, I'm not sure how it matters. If he says higher for longer, we already know that. Like, what's he gonna say that would spook the markets enough, right? We already know rates are higher for longer. We also have the TNX, the 10-year rates breaking out to new highs before Jackson Hole, which to me says it's setting up for a trap right here. But that's me. No consolidation, nothing, straight through. To me, this is gonna end up being a weekly false breakout, but we'll see.
Also, tomorrow, Tuesday, existing home sales. Wednesday, services PMI, manufacturing PMI, new home sales, then JPL. Thursday, jobless claims, and Thursday, durable goods orders. So we had a lot of drip and drop last week. This might be a seesaw type of week, just based off of all this data coming out, based off of what NVIDIA might or might not do. And we'll talk a little bit more about NVIDIA shortly. But there's nothing here that just is like, all right, we're breaking straight up skyward. We might, but I don't think that there's anything here that says, okay, we just keep breaking down either from the macro level.
Yeah,
well, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like we're gonna break out on rates, but that's me. Right, if you look at TNX, right? You have TNX up.
I do.
There, Bags. Weekly. Can you get more data going all the way back to 1998? How far does that go back?
As far as you want me to go. 1998.
Right.
There we go.
From the close in October of 1998, which is, I think, 46.03. Oh, sorry, no.
the close of October 98.
Not the close of like end of September, or so the monthly close. So we're looking at monthly bar, right?
Right there.
Yeah. No, 1998 close, right? So you got to go up.
1998 September close.
So if you
is
draw a
4.4.
horizontal line from that area, yeah.
God, isn't it great?
Right. So you're looking at a really big kind of supply zone, and it's going to go right into that supply zone, and you're talking about a 20-year supply zone, right? It's just going to go there and break right through, no problem. While inflation is also coming down, and this is assuming that Fed's going to take rates much higher without any kind of pause or anything else. To me, it looks like an area where they're pushing violently towards a big supply zone and it ends up failing. That's my personal opinion. It's a peak that it's, how many times, like how many charts do you know, especially when it comes to interest rates, right, which is such a big thing, that push into supply zone the first time or second time or even third time and just break straight through? Not much, in my opinion. You have to have something that says, to me, you have to have something that clearly says that we're going to break through this level. And to me, inflation being at what's it at now? 3-4%, 3.4% or something like that, whatever it's at, is not that clear indication that we're going to go much higher. Because to bring inflation under control, your Fed funds rate and your inflation rate have to be kind of identical. And I believe the Fed funds rate is actually higher than the inflation rate. So just my thought process. Yeah, inflation is what, 3.8, 3.2 actually.
Something in the threes.
Yeah, so we're way beyond, we're 25% above the inflation rate when it comes to the Fed funds rate, and you're telling me through a monster supply zone, it's just going to go whoop straight through? No, I don't think so.
So you're more in the camp that this could be a springboard effect this week more than being choppy.
I think so. I think there's just a lot setting up here.
I mean, we are so oversold that we could have a massive snapback rally easy. I think.
Yeah, I think
I'm not discounting it, basically,
Yeah, but just so like everything that we've talked about, right, over the last 18 months or however long we've been doing this, is that every time when the markets were pushing higher, like, well, Apple's gonna die, and so is the markets. Guess what? Apple died. Guess what didn't happen? Right. So Apple took a gigantic, big, fat dump for 3 straight weeks, and the markets are still at 363 on the Qs, 440 on the SPYs. So where's your hey, Apple's gonna die? You know what happened? Money came out of Apple, and where did it end up going? Oh, sorry, Microsoft also died, and markets were going to die. So the 7 names that were holding up the markets, all one by one, just died. Microsoft, Tesla, Apple. And so
I was
you're telling
about to bring up
me
Microsoft. I almost added some more to both of those names. I didn't know.
But this is the fun part for me, right? Like you've been telling the markets that when these names crash, it's only these 7 names that are going to take us higher. So when these 7 names come down, we're going to get smoked. Guess what? A lot of these names came down. We didn't get smoked. We're what? It was like a 7-8% pullback. If that's your idea of getting smoked, then maybe we just have a different way of thinking about things.
Well, I know you didn't mean me, because I haven't been saying that. You're meaning those out there.
Yeah, well, like it's convenient that narrative all of a sudden just completely was like, oh, 7 stocks took us higher, and now those 7 stocks are not doing well. Maybe NVIDIA is the only one that's still doing well, but Meta got destroyed. Meta Meta straight sell off from 323 all the way to 275, right? Like these are all the names that did get smoked, the ones that carried us higher, and the markets have been resilient. So I think you just have to see the tea leaves and ignore anyone who tells you it's 7 stocks. I've been telling
I
you that.
prefer chicken bones to tea leaves.
Yeah. Well, I'm vegetarian, so tea leaves is what you get from me. I wouldn't know what chicken bones are, but ultimately, I think
It's voodoo.
it's basically just ignore the narratives of what people throw out there, right? That was the predominant one for how long? Almost months, right? All the way from the March kind of launch all the way till the mid-July is these names are the only ones carrying us, and these names are not carrying us. We're down 8%. Fair. We also just had a 37% rally, right? So
back to Tesla. I mean, we've got volume coming in on Tesla. I'm sure you saw that GP, right? Nick, I know you love the name. Did you take a stab anymore down here, Nick?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I love when we put our money where our mouth is.
Yeah, I was largely getting long versus that 30-week moving average. I grabbed it on Friday, and it was one that I kind of added off the open again kind of this morning. I was like, fuck it. If like if I get stopped out, I get stopped out. But either way, I'd still like to buy more if it rolled over and actually decided to test the 200-day or even 200. I'd be looking to whatever I like got stopped out on. In the event that we did roll over, I'd buy that back versus 200 for sure. But
yeah, throw up the 55-week moving average.
The 55-week moving average.
Yeah, well, that's everyone looks at 50, but 55 is the
Feel like you're
the fib number.
punking me. Just making up numbers here.
No,
man, they didn't.
There's the 55. Perfect kiss.
Right, perfect kiss. If you scroll back a little bit, look at where it kissed off of in 2020 COVID sell-off. See that, right? Perfect kiss off.
I'm just going back to see how it's respected it.
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean,
55-week is a fib number, by the way. It's not just some random number.
Look at me learning something on our podcast after all these months. Well, we're 27 minutes in, and we have to talk about the big dog for the week. NVIDIA reports on Wednesday. NVIDIA's move since October has been nothing short of phenomenal. I think we
only if a podcast
low
was
to high,
telling you
we said it's 350-ish%. Knocking on the all-time highs again, right? Or it closed all-time high close. No, not quite.
what a monster bar today, though.
But yeah, and we'll gap up too.
Yeah. Interesting to see how the rest of the week does play out, honestly. Again, just with so in a bull market uptrend, right? Where like on the daily bars, we're looking for the most part, strong closes, right? Like that's just kind of a general characteristic of like an uptrend or trending up market. It's kind of the same thing on weekly bars too, where if we get like a weak Monday, or a strong Monday, it's likely that the trend, at least for the last couple of weeks, has been a strong Monday and Thursday with a sell-off, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. So it'd be nice to see kind of like some weak opens and stronger closes or stronger, to kind of confirm that this trend. I know a lot of MarketSmith and O'Neill guys are now basically waiting for us to kind of put in a follow through day. I can't remember what actually technically qualifies as a follow through day. I think it's like more volume than like yesterday's bar, basically. I'm sorry, or Friday's bar. So Friday's bar was like the first day of a rally attempt, and now we've got to put in like a big green volume bar on volume stronger than that. But
Looks
yeah,
pretty good.
yeah.
GP, I know you hate it.
Absolutely hate it. Only if there was a podcast that's been telling you to stay long since the first week of January. Only if there was
Oh.
one.
I know.
Oh gosh, it must be so hard.
Here I am trying to get off the train in Chicago, and we're going around the world, right? Like that's my fortune with
and so I think take a look at the 13 Fs in NVIDIA in the last quarter.
Everyone bought NVIDIA except Kathy Wood.
Yeah, well, Kathy is special, so but whatever you think, maybe there's a binary event, maybe it has. I wouldn't be surprised with the sideways move here, right? Everyone's expecting whatever. I wouldn't be surprised that all these people who have now added in just the last quarter, forget this is end of June, right? So in the last 45 days or so, if not before. So the breakout last was May, right? So maybe they added before the earnings last quarter, and now they're trying to pump and trying to get out. But companies and institutions don't typically pump for 3 months to get out, right? That's my personal opinion. They're usually people who are going to stick around and hold on to it for a while. They're looking for the move to play out. So maybe this earnings is not the one that it goes higher, but based on the and if you're looking at institutional activity, I think it's only still 66% owned. So you still have another third of the market that's not in NVIDIA, right? Or we're selling out or whatever. So I think the big ads, it didn't David Tepper add too, right?
I believe so. That's correct.
Right. And if you're looking at the ads, JP Morgan added 20% just last quarter. Morgan Stanley added 22%. Susquehanna added 307%. They went from a 2 million share stake to a 7 million share stake. It's kind of nuts. And like, yeah, it's a binary event, so they could do a lot of things. But I think what you're seeing so far is that it's possible that their guidance was light. Isn't that crazy to say that when the guidance was from 7 billion to 11 billion in just one quarter, that potentially it could have been on the light side?
Well, I kind of, yes, GP, yes.
And Elon said it, right? Elon said it the best, which was if they could build more, he would buy them all.
I got a chuckle out of just perusing FinTwat all weekend, seeing all the people counting their money on their puts before they even bought them, from 350 to 300 puts are going to print, right? And I'm sure they were holding their money so tight this morning, ready to buy those puts, and then boom, 8.5% day. Right? Like they were so cocksure of it that it's going down. It's going down. NVIDIA is going to go down this week. And before they even get through one day of the session, they're already, God knows how much they are down. I actually talked with a friend previously this past week, and it was like, man, just make a strangle or a straddle. This is not financial advice. This is just me. Like, right? Just buy one in the money, one out of the money, call them one put, and whatever it does, it does. Buy one, something 400, buy something 300. And as long as it stays in that range, whatever. It's too hard to guess on the binary event for me on NVIDIA. I mean, there's no surprise. I love my semiconductors, but this thing, we know how it moves. it can move so big in such a short period of time, whether it has earnings or not. And now you're trying to guess this earnings play all the way to close the gap or below to the downside. And it's just like, give me a break. Have you not seen what this stock has done? That doesn't mean it's going to do it forever, but we haven't really seen a character change in the chart. I mean, for the love of God, just look at it, man. Right? Right? Like, why are you trying to guess on the downfall at this point in time? It could
like,
happen. I'm not saying it won't, but to me, that's not a good bet.
I think that the ticker threads, like, you know, in stock quotes per se, they're pretty much like, they're absolutely useless because there's no way to know what time frame anyone is talking about. I could say, oh my God, Tesla looks like absolute dog, or, you know, NVIDIA looks like dog shit right now. I'm going to sell this gap up or whatever. But like, I don't know. I steer clear of those damn things.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
fucking,
But on NVIDIA, it's pretty clear.
yeah, for sure.
Everybody's trying to play earnings, right? They know earnings. They know it's had this huge run up. And these bears have just been salivating from the beginning. I mean, even when NVIDIA was below $200, it was like, oh, an overvalued piece of shit. This is going to,
no doubt.
you know, $50, $40. It's worth $20. Well, you're wrong, right? It's worth what the market will pay for it. And obviously the market is deciding to pay a premium for it.
And you're wrong. Yeah.
Right. I just think it's hilarious. Today's bar of that move on all these people coming in trying to buy puts. I mean, if you're buying puts on it personally, if I were buying puts on NVIDIA, I wouldn't have done it after Friday.
So it gaps up into all-time highs, basically, is what you're saying. Like, we're gonna see a 500 print, probably.
Well, I mean, all-time highs, 20, not even 20, $13 away, Nick, right?
Yeah,
it can do $13 in a session.
Well, I'm just saying, if we get a weekday tomorrow and Wednesday, it could definitely, you know, pull in or move sideways. You know what I'm saying? The next couple days.
Oh, I know what you're saying. I smell what you're laying down.
I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they took the trade away. Like, as far as, like, you don't get to buy the breakout here. You're either long and like you're holding for this next pop higher, or
well, that's the thing, right? So if you look at the 4-day chart pattern, right, into the last earnings, it had a 4-day pullback, and then boom, had the earnings. This time it had the 4-day kind of pullback, and it's already breaking out. It's already having its earnings move, so to speak, right? So that's why I say this is probably more of a strangle versus a straddle.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's having it. It could take out 500 plus into earnings, and then kind of go sideways, because ultimately lots of people are long. They would love to capture ridiculous premiums in the what is it? I'm gonna look at it because I'm very curious. I haven't even looked at it.
It's just wild to me that
it's 140% IV on the calls this week, right? Like, to me, a in the money call is going to cost you nearly 8% of the value for this week. That's just ridiculous.
Well, and you know the people who bought puts today are like, well, I'm good. It's going to 350 or it's going to 300. So I'm just going to wait till Wednesday. And they're already underwater. I mean, God knows how I haven't looked at the options chart, but I imagine someone who bought those this morning or anytime during today's session is remarkably underwater. And it's only going to get worse. It's only going to go to zero, right? I'm kind of with you, GP. I don't think that necessarily it has a big move up, but you never can tell. It can keep going up. That's why I think that, like, this. Why do you want to short the strongest stock in the market when it hasn't shown signs that it's ready to break down? That's just that point blank. That's as simple as I can put it.
Yep. And so if you're looking to short this stock, right, what you want to see, to me, in my personal opinion, is on this earning or maybe next earnings is a volume blowout to the upside, which you haven't really seen at all. So
Yeah.
there's been,
It kind of looked like that AVGO bar
yeah,
almost, from
yeah, you want to see the volume blowout to the upside is basically we have captured as many longs as we possibly can in the current environment, and that there's no one left to buy, right? So for me, yes, you had a big volume bar on the last earnings, but before that, there wasn't like a ton of volume blowouts. There was accumulation, but there wasn't volume blowout. So I think you'll see it like what was it? FSLR, right? They bought a company for $80 million and it had a 27% move on 5/12. An $80 million company added like a couple $billion in market cap. But if you look at it, it was the third or fourth big volume bar move after it's already moved up a lot, right? So as you can see, if you look on it, that's the weekly has a lower volume bar, but if you look at the daily, it's the highest volume ever. So something doesn't make sense to me, right?
Sorry, I wanted to pull up that 55 week on there. GP.
Yeah. I'm not saying to me it feels like distribution, but it's also a really well, I don't think it's crazy overvalued. So it could just be sideways distribution, setting up for the next leg. It could just be reaccumulation kind of up at the top before it takes out the next level, because it's holding levels and it's not super overvalued. There's not a ton of debt or any debt at all. So it's possible, but you see that volume, right? Look at that volume on buying an $80 million. What? Like, it doesn't even make sense. So that's what you want to look for in these types of moves, is that big out of the blue kind of volume blowout, because ultimately who's left to buy?
I know not.
I was gonna say I have no idea. Yeah.
Right. So
I like
and
that
then
bar.
Let's talk about some other charts.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody has got several folks in the chat. I don't know if anybody in the chat has a chart they want to look at. Nick, you want to look at something in particular that you like? We can do our what we like, what we don't early, and just go through some names.
There's a couple that I had kind of written down. I like the move that, obviously VRTX kind of made today, because it's kind of working on a double bottom on the daily. I also liked I like how Uber's setting up right here. God, what was it? There was one that I was CRYS is it's kind of a thin to win name.
CRYS?
KRYS.
KRYS.
Yeah.
he's going full hog into the biotechs. Jesus.
Yeah, some of them are popping up. There's other ones that I don't like. I think mainly the reason bio popped up is like the big one, Regeneron, popped into all-time highs.
Moderna had a pop too.
I totally lost track of it, but other ones look equally as shitty. So I don't. I don't know.
Moderna. If a tree falls into the woods, does it make a sound chart? That's the Moderna pop. It's definitely something to notice, because it could be basing out, or it could be establishing a base. But
what did you think of Moderna's move today?
I think it's showing signs that it's ready to kind of bottom, but I don't think there's no real base, right? And the base is above. So for me, if today's move reclaimed the base, or if this week's move reclaims the base, then it's something I start paying attention to more. But right now, that kind of level, I think it was 126 or so that held for so long. if it starts to reclaim that area, I'd be more interested, but it's just there's nothing on this chart to me. I know it's moving, and yes, trade's a trade, but I also like to look at longer time perspective.
Yeah, I mean, not my kind of setup.
Yeah,
either.
no, I just brought up
know
Moderna because we were talking about bios.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
bios did make a little bit of a move today. I look at XBI. Trying
IBKR
to
went
break the
down.
downtrend. It hasn't yet, but you know, you want to see it reclaim the huckleberries and stave off the dingleberries, right, Duzio?
No doubt.
Yeah, and it's not behaving well. So a lot of people have given up on biotech, which is perfect. It's the time now. And the more MBG talk shit about biotech, the more he's gonna regret it at some point. So.
Yeah, I saw your chart about that nice little head and shoulders on the XLE too, GP. I don't know if you want to throw some shade monkeys way there.
I'm not going to, because it's been a frustrating kind of like move, but because the strength has been there, no doubt.
Yeah.
But it's we still can't even take out June highs, and this is all while oil is still what, $60 off the highs.
Yep.
To me, it's part of the overall kind of distribution pattern. If you go back to, you have a mini head and shoulders setting up here in the larger head and shoulders for the last 20 years. So maybe it breaks out, maybe it doesn't. But once again, why the hell would you want to be in this outside of anything else until it takes out all-time highs? This is a very gold type conversation, right, Nick?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Our friend Anchors Away, Dub C in the chat, said, look at IBKR. Interactive Brokers. Wow. All-time highs.
Yeah, I love the monthly more than anything.
Looks a little hot from the stochastic, but hot can stay hot, cold can stay cold. Nothing on the chart that makes me think that it's bad. I mean, I love that rebound from Friday into today.
Where are you long from? Out of curiosity, or like, where was your entry? Like through that, like 87. Like the entry through like 81.50 and the one through 87 was pretty fucking solid. Even now, 293.5. Anyways,
Randy says gravy. Randy, you're talking to me. Oh, it's gravity. Gravy. GRVY. I want to make some gravy on this chart here. Look at that. I want to eat that up, Randy. Nobody likes gravy but me and Randy.
yeah,
I'm pulling up the chart. I like to see it on my own screen.
yeah, me too. That's right.
Dub C was in since the shakeout in late July. So that would have been, yeah, in the 80s. Nice.
Nice. That's
Nice snag.
It's a nice trade.
That engulfing bar, I would imagine. Yeah.
So one I like is Win.
Yeah, Win is something that you brought up last week, GP. That was actually the first chart that I saw when I pulled up the old trading view this morning.
Yeah, it's getting the weekly 50 cross to the 200.
Are you long this name or are you
Not yet.
options,
Not
GP?
yet. I am not. I was waiting for this impulse to move down while the 50 was crossing over the 200. And as of this weekend, it had not crossed. So today's bar, I guess, reset the numbers and it finally, or updated the numbers, and it finally had to cross. So it's one I've got on look. So I would take it over Friday's high.
All
I
right.
believe it's 94.80-ish.
All right.
But it's got it just got the weekly 50 200 cross. it made a new low, I believe, from last week.
Let's set an alert for 95.
I like it. I like what it's doing. I also was watching flow and I just didn't see flow. This market's all about flow, unfortunately, and not something I normally pay attention to, but you tend to see flow come in to these names when it gets to these points. And I didn't see it, which is why I did not take the setup yet, which is why I was like, I'll wait till it takes out 94.80 or whatever it is. But this is stuff that I like to look for in kind of the pullbacks, like what's happening here. Because when you get these bull crosses, quite often you will find that they have an impulsive move down and it makes no sense and it's just a sell off. And then boom, the cross happens and everyone's like, wait, why are we moving higher? And so just something to pay attention to.
I like
The other one is Rivian,
Oh yeah, talk to me.
right? It's got a very kind of similar look as Tesla did in April, which is after a big move higher on volume. It's back at a 50% retrace, 50% retrace of the move. It closed right at it or right slightly above it last week, and now we're pushing higher. It rejected the 50-week SMA last week, and it's sitting right there. I think you have potentially double coming from here, right, in the next few months off this, if the momentum starts taking over. Because if it's doing what Tesla did in April, then Tesla went from 153 to 299. And my thought process is, if Tesla's going to run because of the Cybertruck, you think the other electric car maker that makes trucks is not going to run with it?
Sounds lovely.
Yeah, and basically, if the Cybertruck has huge demand and people have to wait months on end to get the Cybertruck, you might get spillage into Rivian. And you anecdotally, we're already seeing tons of Rivian showing up in the wild, right?
Yes, not just their trucks, but their Amazon trucks. I took a picture of one last week, I think, that I saw. The first one I've seen. Obviously, I must live out in the sticks or something, because everybody else has seen them for a while now.
Yeah,
But
they're all over the place.
I'm glad you brought up Rivian, because I was saying positions that I was like, man, I almost added to it. I did last week. It was coin. I almost added the coin. This last week we didn't get to talk about it because we were off. I almost added to both Microsoft and Apple. But the three positions that I added to over last week's drawdown were Rivian, SOFI, and Sentinel-1. And
Sentinel-1.
Sentinel-1
Wow.
decided to put itself up for sale today. And boom, nice 16% gainer there. So I feel vindicated on that purchase from Friday. And I agree with you on the Rivian. I bought Rivian Wednesday.
Look at the daily too, right?
Yeah.
Real quick. You also got the
On Rivian
50 crossing the 200 and the move down into the 50 when that cross is happening, right? Typically one of those bull setups as well. So there's a lot of things that are setting up for Rivian in a way that could be meaningful. I've been long shares since I think everyone got long shares around that point, the 13 to 15 range for many people. So they're probably waiting for it to move higher. So I think it's ready to kind of move higher. So I did add to some short-term calls in Rivian a few months out today.
Nice.
So
yeah, I put my order in at 2050 and it filled on Thursday. So I was very happy about, or Wednesday, I was very happy about that. And then SOFI, who you guys know, I've been ride or die on SOFI. I couldn't resist Friday's dip below 8. I was like, I got to be active here. Either I'm, coming back to my book report from a couple weeks ago. What am I going to do? I got to be active, or I got to be buyer or seller. And it's like, all right, I'm sticking with it and adding to it. So 3 positions I really like, and just continue to accumulate. We'll see what happens in Sentinel 1. But I think it was June, right, when they had earnings and it wasn't so great. I was telling everybody who would listen, either they're going to grow market share or they're going to get bought out. And either way, the stock goes higher. And I'm excited that the stock's going to go higher sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it's up what 20% from that earnings move, right?
Yeah.
And it looks good. It does look good. You know, coin is it's just miserable. Look at that.
Yeah,
What the hell is that?
I passed on it.
Like, it's just a miserable piece of shit. Sorry, did I say that out loud? It literally it is not. It is flow driven, and it continues to be flow driven.
Is all lost here, GP? Like, are you moving on?
No, I have, dude. It's just frustrating to see. I have, I think the January 2025 60.
All right. I'm just making sure you've been more bullish about coin than I have, and I have a nice little position in coin, but I was going to be surprised to hear you ready to chuck it out the window.
I'm not. I'm just like, what is this? What is this last 5 weeks in coin? It's
shitty is what it is.
Yeah,
it's shitty
like,
what it is.
What, like, oh, let's hold any level at all? Nope, just not going to do any of that stuff. And then has a big move down after Bitcoin drops. You're like, this is just, you're annoying, right? And this is part of that. This doesn't have a huge float ultimately out there, right? So when you have these, it's just, oh gosh, it's just a frustrating one to kind of trade, which is why I went with in the money or at the money leaps 2 years out, because I was like, I don't want to deal with any of this crap.
I mean, I know from our previous weeks of where we would be a buyer. And I said, if he got back into this zone in the 70s, it's a decision. But I mean, it's banking right off the top of that zone.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I didn't buy 2 Fridays ago, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it bounce. And I know we talked about Bitcoin last week. Bitcoin's hanging on. Nick didn't like it. Nick said he didn't like it. Nick was right last week. Ding, ding, ding. He gets the prize, but it still hasn't broken down its range.
Yeah,
it bounced right off the range. So I don't know, right? We talk about failed moves become fast moves.
Yeah,
it's not moving fast yet, but
I mean, if they pull back to the 200-day. Bitcoin.
It's under the 200-day.
Oh, that looks gross to me. I don't know. I'm just not a fan. I don't know why.
We know.
I know. I know.
You love CLAC and AVGO and VRTX. We know you. We know your foot, Nick.
So I mean, totally. Yeah, you do.
No.
What about Crowd? You like Crowd? Look at the weekly.
I do like Crowd. I didn't. So for me, right, I've got such a large Sentinel 1 position now. Is like, all right, this is the horse I'm going to ride for the time being. I do like Crowd. I obviously have had a position for a very long time in Cloudflare, which is not a pure play cybersecurity name, but they are in there. I also like Zscaler, and then you can't miss, talking about Palo Alto when everybody's sitting there worried about their Friday earnings report. I really believe that they didn't look at what date they picked their earnings report to fall on is what happened more to me. And look at that huge gap from earnings like that's their earnings report Friday till
that could be the start of like that's your pivot to play. And like, this could be the start of like a massive, like, island kind of reversal there off of,
yeah.
I mean, as long as you could probably throw your stop at this point, throw your stop at like 220, let's just say, and set it and forget it.
But this is why I said months ago, and I've pounded it for over a year now. Like, this is a young space, right? And cybersecurity is only going to be more ubiquitous in our lives as time moves forward, because our lives are going to inevitably be even more online.
Yeah.
Whether it's our lives or business, right now it's mostly enterprise focused. But I have my kids right in the ETFs, right? Bug. You can go bug, you can go cyber, right? There's a whole host of different
realize
ETFs
cyber
that
was
cover them all.
That's horrible. I didn't realize cyber was a ETF. Oh, wait, what am I looking at? I don't know what the heck I'm looking at. Never mind. I'm just talking to myself. Forget it.
Anyway,
Forget I'm
Palo
here.
Alto is the big dog, followed by Microsoft. Then you got CrowdStrike, right? Like, we can go on and on and on about the names in the space. And for me, in my personal account, I went with SentinelOne, but I don't think, for me, it's hard to go wrong by playing the ETF version. Once SentinelOne's gone, I'm probably going to be CrowdStrike or Zscaler. That's probably where I'll add to. I already have a large position in Microsoft, so I don't really need to add to that. I mean, I can add to it, but it's not pure play cyber, which is what I want to be in. Anyway. Hey, and look at that. We're an hour.
Hey,
Bam.
Look at T-Doc.
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 Ah, look at this.
What's Madam Kathy doing over
God,
here?
so pretty.
My gosh, it's just so ugly.
God.
It's
It's
just like,
Forming the
like-
frying pan bottom.
Yeah, Zoom looks like shit too. Interesting.
I actually played Zoom earnings today on just a little, not a lot, because I've been watching Zoom for so long. And this cuck right here couldn't hold 70. I actually closed on the aftermarket at 70.25. I bought $72 calls, and I texted GP when it was like 74, and it's like $72 calls, baby. And then look what it did. But we'll see how it opens tomorrow. I took that trade because I've been watching it for a while, right? I've been talking for over a month about how I liked potentially getting in Zoom and being active in Zoom. So I didn't take a full position, but I did run some calls for this week. And we'll see how it goes tomorrow. If it's a loser, I'm not out too much, but if it gets back into that $71, $72 range tomorrow, that would be sweet.
nice. Can someone tell me what Lululemon is doing? Is it
Oh,
prepping for hot day summer?
Stretching.
Dude, it's just ready. It's poised.
What is
One
it
might say.
doing?
It's stretching. It's stretching.
It's ready for a hot
That
summer.
actually kind of looks like the BA chart, right? Like, that kind of looks like that a little bit. This little section right here.
How can it go any higher?
It does, yet BA
Yeah.
is diluted to hell and
Yeah. No, but that's what I'm saying. This gobbledygook right here.
yeah.
When do they have earnings? In 10 more days?
I don't know. But
Yeah, 10 more days.
retailers in general, like ROST as well.
This is my next name. I'm going to get active Lulu.
The other one is ROST.
Yeah, Ross looks good. Ross Stowers.
Yeah.
Well,
Like-
discount retailers.
But retailers, right? Like if your whole thesis is this economy is going to die, then please explain to me Lululemon and Ross stores.
What's Dollar General doing?
That got smoked. So I don't, but Target is not doing well.
Costco, Target actually crapped
Looks like
its
garbage.
pants a little bit after. Yeah.
Can we talk about PayPal?
No,
Uh,
PayPal and Square, they're gonna make a comeback at some point. I think. Someday.
Everything's gonna make a comeback someday.
That's true. I mean, all those it looks like
Randy with the Visco. Hey, Visco. Hey, Randy.
Just in time for
Nobody's looking at you, Randy.
I mean, yeah.
Do you think? Sorry, I know we're long, but do you really think that PayPal is going to recover, Nick? Or like, you really think that?
I mean, I think that. I mean, I personally like Square much more than PayPal.
Right.
And I do think they will, but I only say that because of how popular I know like Venmo is and Square with like small business, especially just like small business enterprise.
You've got to look at the monthly bar on Square. If you were thinking about being long, there should be no reason.
Yeah, I mean, you
if
set
you're
your
looking at
alert.
that monthly bar, right? That's bearish engulfing nearly 2 months. In one bar, dude, right? Like even in this environment where the market is near all-time highs, for the most part, give or take 5 or 10%, there's no one buying this shit. We've been talking about this for months, right? Like, until you see some accumulation, I don't know why anyone or their mother would be trying to long this, because it's going to be pain trade. Maybe you get right and maybe it gets bought out and you've made a bunch of money, but binary events are not things that happen very often, right?
Well, the question was, you think they'll recover, and that doesn't mean
Yeah.
overnight or next month. And I don't disagree with Nick that I like Square small business or Block small business services more than PayPal.
They're
At the
gonna
start of
move.
the pandemic, I was the other way around because PayPal was the internet checkout, right? It was the button to mash. And I didn't take into account that the small business side of things, of how quickly small business might recover and use Square's products. But now I just see PayPal as having all of its moat drained by Apple and Microsoft and every other bank in the world.
Yep.
Yeah, that's probably realistic. Or
right?
Yeah.
Because I can send you money through Apple Cash or my Google Wallet, or I can use Zelle, which most banks use Zelle. Like I can send either one of you a text and you have those funds dang near instantly. Now that doesn't mean that both Block and PayPal's products to transfer money, right? They're the incumbents in the space, but that doesn't mean that, right, that's just a product. That's not the major way that these companies will be or can be making money. Anyway,
I think you wait till you see it all clear on these names, because weakness in a bull market, or aka bear market rally, for 37% is not something you want to be long, right? Like we talked about over the next few years, the market's going to start showing you who the winners and losers are, right? Even in the profitable space, because the market is now getting 5 to 6% on their cash. They're not going to just put stuff into names willy-nilly like they did in the past 10 to 15 years, because they have risk-free money. So you're basically seeing in real time Square and PayPal showing you that even being profitable, people are not choosing to allocate their money here, right? Like,
Yeah.
did you see a lot of reports for the 13F that said, "Oh, I've raised my Square allocation by 300%." No, you
No.
saw it in NVIDIA. You didn't see it in Square, and NVIDIA was up 200% for the year, right? So to me, I think that there's going to be a long time before these become more relevant again. And there's literally, I desperately look, because I do have shares. This is not like a wet blanket conversation. I have shares, I think, from like, I think it's like 82 or whatever. So I'm in the hole on them and debating whether I should cut them or not. But I'm like, they're not a huge amount. I'm just going to hold on to them. When I start to see some accumulation, I'll average down. But I haven't seen anything to suggest it. I don't know if you guys have you?
Nope.
Mm-mm.
It's been puke after puke bar.
Yeah. So to me, it's like, why spend any time trying to figure out this is the bottom? Let the chart show you. It's at 57. If it goes to 70, you're still got a long road ahead of you to make money. But there's no reason to catch the knife on either one of these names here, right? Wait for it to show you the strength. Wait for it to show you that it's ready to participate. That's been my opinion on these two over the last few weeks, few months. Because, dude, when you're expecting to see accumulation and you see distribution, you're like, holy shit, this is bad. It's down. What was it at? What did Square hit? 280. It is down 223 points from all-time highs and still can't find a buyer.
There you go. Hey, I know we're out of time, but just one quick thing to give you guys some time to think about this. I've been thinking about this for a while, but I want to do we're going to pick one stock for the quarter, and we're going to do a little competition between ourselves of who we think, since we're in the middle of at the end of earnings season, it feels like now's the time to say, okay, let's name a stock and let's track it for the quarter and see what it does. You guys game for that?
Yeah.
Sure.
So next week on our show, we will announce, actually next week, it'll be Labor Day. It'll be a Labor Day show. We will be announcing who our pick for the quarter is. Which quarter? This Q3 or Q4? The coming quarter, right? The coming quarter. So Q4. Yeah. So I gotta wait till September. I can't do that without a full month there. It will be September. No, I need the full month of September to make that decision. Oh my God. Hey man, time frames matter. Oh my God. Actually, next Monday won't be Labor Day. So okay. I will give you a full month of August, and when we return for our September show, which will be on Labor Day, we have to have our stock for the quarter. If you're going to force my hand. Yeah, I'm going to give you the rest of August. We can see how August closes. Fine. Has to be a stock, right? Not a sector or ETF. No, it has to be an individual name stock.
Yeah.
Nick's game. Nick jumped right at it. GP's over here. Well, I don't know. Hand wringing, wet blanket. Oh, you know what? Time frames matter. They do. Right? So you're asking for a quarter pick without the prior quarter ending. That's ballsy, Bags. Ballsy. Well, but we'll be running into the next quarter's earnings, just like we're out of earnings right now. We're wrapping up earnings right now. This is the final couple weeks of earnings. When we are done, we will be through the next earnings. So sure. I think that's fine. Well, this will be sometime in December. We'll revisit this, and it'll be like Bags will be like, "See, bam! I told y'all you should have stuck with the cybersecurity name." I'm not going to name any names. Anyway. Hey guys, just a final chart. Just a name. Have you been watching IoT?
Yeah. Yeah, I have been.
That one, it's looking like it's finally starting to get ready for its IPO breakout move.
IoT, there's a lot of O'Neill cats that got their eyes on that. It held
Yeah.
the 30-week last week.
It held the gap too.
Yeah,
Gap up. It's got the nice little handle. It had that 30% move down off the handle. There's a lot of stuff to like here.
Earnings
Yeah,
coming
weekly
up
looks
in
so
9
good.
days.
Well,
IoT. Randy
Yeah,
said with an emphatic yes.
I got long on Friday, so
oh,
You
right
got
on.
long Friday. All right.
no. Well, it held the gap. I'm like, this is your best risk to reward. Literally, the low is 22.20.
So what are you in, like 23?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Nice. Name to watch. I'm going to put an alert on it at 23.25, which was today's low. If it breaks that, I want no part of it.
yeah, agreed. But your risk to reward here is in the right range,
Agreed.
right? So
Right. But if it breaks 23.25, it's likely that, try to retest the gap one more time.
22.95. That's the open from earnings, is what I'd be watching.
22.95. All right. Fair enough.
That's the earnings opening. So that's where the buyer stepped in, right? So that's where I'd be watching for a close below that on the day, right?
22.95.
Yep. It's a thin name. It has accumulation. So, and it's earnings coming up, so everything can go pear shaped real quick.
All right. No, that's fair enough. I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
You saw me. I put a little word on it. I like it.
I see it.
I like it. Hey everybody, thank you all for watching. We know we're over. Sometimes we get a little long-winded. Hell, let's just make it a 2-hour show. No, I'm joking. I gotta get the kids to school tomorrow. But hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for always being here. We appreciate you, Randy. Thanks for putting the tables and chairs together for everybody to sit down around the campfire and watch with us. But please comment, like, subscribe to our channel. It means the most to us. We appreciate that. GP, Nicholas, thank you guys as always. It's a pleasure. I hope you have a great trading week ahead. And with that, we are